we got lined up tonight? This 24th episode. We're going out with a shebang before the shebang, and that's a pre-shebang. It's the pentultimate shebang. So I think what are we going to get into tonight? We've got guest Joshua Cummings who's going to join us.
We do.
He is from Kline, and that sounds mysterious now, but he's going to get into explain what that is. Joshua's a really great visual artist and designer and architect, and been actually talked to him a lot and wanted him on the show, so I'm really excited to have him on.
Cool.
And also, Blaine, you're gonna share a story with us or something, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna improvise the story.
How was your guys' Thanksgiving?
I had it at my apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my own Thanksgiving.
You made a bunch of food, right? You brought some mac and cheese over here that was really great. You
cheese.
put crackers on top of the mac and cheese. Crack and cheese.
Yeah, crack and cheese. But it's interesting having Thanksgiving without your family, and choosing to do so. Like, this year I want to do Thanksgiving at my house. I don't know.
Did you make a turkey or what? Oh wait, you're a vegetarian. What did you do?
I made some. I made everything else.
Yeah.
No turkeys.
Everything but a turkey.
Yeah.
So
duck.
You had
beef. No.
Brussels sprouts with
I bought
Cajun
some Brussels sprouts. I didn't make them.
Spice? No, really?
Time, yeah.
Oh, see.
I cooked for like 4 hours, and then I was exhausted, and I just went to sleep.
Yeah.
I ate a little bit of it, and then it was a
rock and roll
Thanksgiving disaster.
Rock and roll
I guess.
That's good.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to the Brussels sprouts, man.
Yeah. I didn't.
Well, I feel like you had a whole arsenal of stuff ready to go then. You were bringing us mac and cheese. And
I still have it.
Mm-hmm.
We had like just a line of casseroles, like 7, I guess, 7 full plates of food, and we had 4 people to eat it, and 3 of us weren't even hungry. So,
so what did that one person do? Was he just like a maniac? Like,
there was like a spoon taken out of each one.
Okay.
It was like nobody came to the party.
Yeah.
Which actually is what happened.
Should have taken.
We didn't invite anybody. So.
But oftentimes you do Thanksgiving like that intentionally, right? Like you have leftovers for days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of having a holiday every week so that I can just make enough food for the whole week.
Yeah.
I went to Philadelphia for Thanksgiving to see the fam. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Cool.
And Mom sent me off with this weird. It's like a Coors cooler bag, like a giveaway at a baseball game or something.
Okay.
Of like food.
Yeah.
I'm just like, Mom, what are you doing?
Nice.
And so I'm like walking through the train station with just like it has like a big Coors It's like all Coors.
Nice.
It's such a product. Free giveaway thing, and it's
but
like
no
cooler
Coors.
bag. No, there's nothing in there. Everyone thinks it's beers. I'm just bringing beers on a train coming back to New York.
You want some stuffing?
I know. I feel like it's ridiculous. And then I'm selling beers.
That's good.
But
well, you could probably sell some stuffing. Is it good stuffing?
It was good.
I'd buy an ounce of that.
It was
man.
good. It was turkey stuffing. It was a Thanksgiving meal in a bag.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm walking around with the Thanksgiving meal in a bag.
Yeah, I don't get that till I go back home to California. I don't have the choice actually. So Thanksgiving is like, I can't go to Cali, but I am going for the holiday. It's gonna be nice. See the fam, California.
So what'd you do for Thanksgiving?
Hung out with Fumio and Miho, and we made some food.
Did you make turkey?
No turkey. We had a pesto tortellini, and it was muy bene.
So
very traditional.
So unpatriotic.
Very traditional Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was a very Italian Thanksgiving. It was molto bene, grazie mille, Miho. And so what else do we had? Yeah, we had cranberry muffins, and then you made cornbread with cheese in it.
That was today.
What's that about?
Thanksgiving continues.
Yeah, I'm saying it just keeps going. Like
jalapenos in them.
No jalapenos.
Okay.
Afraid not, friend.
You're not into that?
Just put that shit on the side.
I'm down for it.
Oh, good.
You have your own jalapeno muffins, man.
Oh yeah.
No.
I had this pepper jelly.
What?
I have it in my fridge. It's
real.
amazing.
It's not
we're
real.
gonna have a food segment at some time on the show.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be food and alcohol.
Next
Oh
season.
yeah, Travis
Cooking.
is gonna hook us up with a beer segment.
Yeah.
This is all previews of next season, right? So this is the final. Also, do we have any stories from this show? Should we share any stories of nostalgia and possibly remorse?
Of the
There's
all right.
No, like any.
Wow.
Yeah. No, like this is the wrap up episode, basically.
Dark place, yeah.
The final episode will be hanging out and partying.
The guy I
so.
killed in episod 4, I feel really bad about it.
Oh,
we
man,
hid his body in the
we all know that was an
piano.
Yeah, he's in the piano.
Yeah. Oh my god, he's so annoying still. It's like Hitchcock's Rope. Oh, I've been on a Hitchcock thing, man.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of Hitchcock movies, and I started with Saboteur. Have you guys seen that movie?
It's good stuff.
It's amazing. So that's our shout out of the week. No, but
Saboteur.
Saboteur,
Witchcraft.
really amazing movie. Like his use of sound in that movie. Like anybody studying like sound design needs to see Saboteur.
Yeah,
Really cool.
Tool.
What's that?
So it was like a new tool at the time. It was like one of those early ones where it's like
Yeah,
What
what
was
year?
first
What year
talkie?
do you guess that is?
maybe like 36 or something.
Yeah?
Maybe earlier.
Wow.
Hmm.
And just so you've seen it, and you know, no
Yeah.
well, actually, after like 80 years, it's not spoiler
Yeah.
anymore, right?
It's from
Yeah.
a famous
So
novel.
the end
When's the
scene.
statute of
pretty-
limitations on a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think 80 years, 75 years, you're good.
At
But the end of it, when he's falling from the Statue of Liberty and the
Yeah.
silence and just how he uses that, and it was so eerie. I was watching with Miho, and we were
Yeah.
checking it out. Really great.
It's pretty good. Surreal.
So,
So I guess there's no point in me watching it now. Is what you're saying?
yeah, I've spoiled the whole movie for you. man. No, I only used pronouns. You don't know which German spy let the Americans down by sabotaging them.
Or which Statue of Liberty?
Yeah.
It could be any of them.
You don't know which blonde-haired, blue-eyed character in the film
Yeah.
that you see very early in the film that starts a fire. Oh, the fire scene, really crazy. The fire extinguisher scene,
Yeah.
disturbing. Like right away, he gets into like, yeah, it's not just somebody dies, but look at the horrific death this person suffered.
It was
It's like
really embellishes it.
extreme,
really,
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. So I'm really in this phase. I feel like I don't want to watch anything else until I continue going and watch all of Hitchcock's films. Really good
There's
right
a
now.
checklist, then you got to hit them
Yeah.
one by one.
I've seen various ones already. Rear Window always got me. The story of Rear
Yeah.
Window is really great. The suspense and
Just
that.
watched
and everything.
Vertigo on Thanksgiving
Cool.
the other day. And that's like a surreal movie, and it's really hypnotic and really it's like necrophiliac. It's
Mhm.
like it's a very strange subtext to that
Mhm.
movie. He's like in love with a woman who died, and then he makes his new woman look like his old. He makes her dye her hair, and it's just so odd.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a weird obsession. you know.
Could she be the same woman?
No, what?
You know, but and also every Thanksgiving when I was a kid, they always did the marathon in the Twilight Zone. Did you guys ever have that?
Yeah.
Twilight Zone on air like 24
Thanksgiving?
hours a day, like Thanksgiving Day. Yeah.
I
It'd be
always
like my
remember
dad
the-
watching football and me like, fuck, is there another TV around? Like the neighbor's house watching Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I could never watch it because someone was watching football.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there
They
were-
should mix
there
the
were
two
not
and just have like
TVs.
Rod Serling calling games. And then we
Yeah.
get,
Yeah,
welcome to another inning.
like
My
Twilight
Wait,
Zone
inning?
football.
No, what are they?
really bizarre shit happens.
My grandma put on the Three Stooges marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to like them.
Yeah.
That was just
Yeah. I love Three Stooges, man. There's
that
that.
was like a Thanksgiving thing. But
My favorite bit is when they're all working together and Mo is like, yeah, I know. You can count on us. You're in competent hands. And Curly's all like, yeah, certainly, we're incompetent. He doesn't understand what the word means. And for that time, Curly was actually really eloquent, right? He was like a ballroom dancer, and he was
Yeah.
light
He
on
was
his feet. He was ladies'
he
man.
was like a handsome guy. too.
Yeah,
When he had hair.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
even after.
yeah,
He
but
was a stooge, you know?
Yeah,
It's like being a made man.
yeah, he's a rock star.
He can't fuck with the
Yeah.
stooge, you know? And, you know, there were only a few more that were able to be added to that crew. But it's funny, like, there's not just three.
Yeah.
Like, they have their whole entourage. Like, we're all stooges, but some of us are in the limelight, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all kinds of good nostalgia from old comedy and good shows during Thanksgiving.
Cool.
Basically, eat, get tryptophan in your blood, fall asleep while watching Rod Serling,
Yeah.
and
If you get to use the TV.
yeah, if you get to use the TV, that's true.
Thanksgiving in a nutshell.
Yeah, To Serve Man is a
Yeah.
cookbook.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
There goes that one.
What is like it was like such spoiler episode tonight. What if
no
like
point in
a
watching that one now.
Thanksgiving episode animation possibly, right?
Yeah.
It's turkeys, but that scenario,
I'm with it.
the Twilight Zone scenario,
What's to serve?
It's
but
a
they're all
surf turkey.
turkeys. And like aliens land, but it's not aliens. It's a farmer just arriving
It's just like us.
to kill them all.
It's like, so we wanted to make an alliance with you turkeys.
Hmm.
We have this book. It's a recipe book, but you don't know that.
If I was going to make an alliance with any animal, it definitely would not be the turkey.
Which,
Yeah.
okay, sounds like you've thought about
I
it.
have,
What,
seriously.
what animal?
They're insane. You can't work with them. They're all over the place. Think about it. I mean,
They're not reliable.
have you ever seen a turkey in real life?
Yeah.
Like a living turkey in front
They
of you?
never show up on time. I mean, what do you got to get
I
I've
there?
never
never hold
had.
days.
I've never had one show up. Period. If you see a turkey, the first time I saw a turkey was at a fair, at a country fair, and I remember looking at this thing's eyes like I'd never seen an animal before in my life. It was the most intense like animal experience I've had. Actually, it was just a turkey, and realizing like, oh my god, you're not like any of the cartoons or drawings I've ever seen of you.
You're so much uglier.
You're just like a disgusting dinosaur of a creature left over. And what are we doing at the fair? And so, anyway.
But what about like cows? Cows have that weird cartoony.
Sorry, pause a minute.
Way to go. So rude. Cows have that. Mike has quit. Cows have that like cartoony look to them, and then you see them for the first time in life, and they're huge, and they make this low noise that you've never heard before.
Oh yeah, when I went to a family reunion, in Missouri, and in Missouri, Kansas City, not Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah,
That makes no sense. But so
does anybody like? How about Missouri City?
Yeah. You got a Kansas City? Well, I got one too. Fuck you. So I mean, what are they doing over there?
Maybe it was a ploy for like, it was Kansas City. Let's have it over here too.
But it's a family reunion on a farm, and we were hanging out in the back and playing with the animals and playing with a cow with a big head and a giant purple tongue that came out and flicked. And I used to get mad when the fly would land on the cow. There was this giant horsefly thing on. I was
you get mad at the fly?
Yeah, I was like, get off the cow, because I was playing with the cow.
He's my cow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm playing with this cow, man. So we go inside, and then guess what's for dinner? Steak.
Yeah.
And I forgot, because this guy grew up on a farm,
Yeah.
but I'm just like a suburban kid and never seen anything like it. So I liked steak until this time, and then I just ate it. And I was so gristly and chewy, and it was like the cow that he had just before.
Right.
I was like, oh man.
The one you were petting at the beginning of the day.
Exactly. So horrific and scarring. Man.
Yeah. I don't know. I had that. I don't eat meat.
I know. I didn't.
But I've had those experiences where I saw animals dead in front of me and then cut up, and then we ate it later.
Yeah.
And that didn't inspire me to not eat meat. I was like, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Is anybody deluded to that's not happening?
Yeah.
Like that. There's just a magic machine that an animal goes into and then becomes packaged.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was like my first experience to that. And that was
but how old? You said you were 19?
No, I wasn't 19.
Oh, 9.
Yeah, it was I was like, yeah.
That story was way different for me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What happened?
So what do you think about
Can you guys just repeat everything you just
said? Do you
said?
agree with him or do you agree with me, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with both of you on different levels, man. It's relative. You got to think about it. Think about Greg's perspective on this. And you really got to think about what he's thinking about, because he's in his own shoes.
Thanks, Mike. Greg, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. So we had a cat scare. Actually, it was weird. It was
really?
Like the door was open, and I was like, "Where's Billy?"
Oh no.
That's the bane of several years of like, "Where's Billy?"
You should get one of those walk-in refrigerator door
cat
things
wranglers
with those like big, heavy plastic panels. So you have to push through them.
Yeah.
Cats can't get through that, right?
Talking about freezing my cats to death?
Not
at
all.
What are you talking about?
Just using the door.
Get one of those big, heavy freezers. Just stick them on the
shelf.
shelf.
Get a walk-in freezer and put your cats in it, and they'll never leave again.
Like they're frozen, they don't get any oxygen, and there won't be any trouble at all.
Problem solved.
They won't be bothering you anymore.
They barely run when they're in that state. They can't even move.
No, that's not what I'm suggesting.
Yeah. Right. No, but it's all clear anyway. So Biscuit and Billy are safe and healthy at home.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Biscuit and Billy.
No money has changed hands, right? No hitting.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
Just making sure.
Yeah. No interview with Jack Palance about who you're going to hire to be your number one guy. Nothing like that. Cool. So, we want to... This is going to be a good episode. It's, like I said, the last before our big shebang show. And, let's get into it. Thank you guys for joining us again. And, in fact, let me publicly say...
coming down, Mike.
Thank you, Blaine and Greg, for a great season of what we've been doing here, which is still sort of undefined. So...
I think next time we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a loosey-goosey welcome.
Yeah, that's on the slate. Just stretch it out.
Thanks, kinda.
Yeah.
Thanks a little bit. Thanks, casually.
Thank you, kinda, so much. Yeah.
Here's this
Cash.
feeling.
It's cash, So, we would like to invite Joshua Cummings out. Joshua's a friend of the Sulphurbath, and like I said, is a visual artist and architect, and develops journals.
Yeah.
And hello, Joshua. How you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm really tall, trying to not block the camera.
That's our tall microphone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Tall microphone, excellent.
It's all relative,
Hello.
man. How are you tonight? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool.
I'm very
You
excited.
came to the show from a long drive far away today, right?
Well, I was, as we were all talking about Thanksgiving earlier, I was at Thanksgiving with my family in Pennsylvania. It's a wonderful small part of the world. So I was hanging out with polar bears last night. Drinking beers with taxidermied animals. Real exciting.
Oh, not like the Polar Bear Club jumping into cold water. Or
No,
anything
not like that.
I was
Not like
actually
that.
thinking actual polar bears.
Actual
in
polar
Pennsylvania.
bears in Pennsylvania. I don't know where the polar bears came from in Pennsylvania. They're definitely not a native species.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they wound up there.
I
somehow.
grew up there. I had never seen a polar bear.
I had never either.
They're visiting family.
Not one.
Yeah,
For
exa-
Thanksgiving.
visiting like everyone, coming back for Thanksgiving. Well, at least the beers are cheaper there than in New York,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all good. Yeah. But my pleasure to be here.
Cool.
So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we met recently. You had a show downstairs actually from here where you were showing off your artwork in your journals, right? Can you give us the background of that and share that with us a little bit?
Yeah, so we had back, I guess, a few months ago. I don't know, time seems to fly pretty fast, depending how the ball spins, Einstein-like. And we had a show where we presented our journals. I'm the co-founder of a company that's starting a new series of journals for writing and creative work. And so we showed these off at a party downstairs. And the party was great. We had a lot of people come in and just see the journals, see what we were doing. And it was all about just kind of having fun and making conversation about the creative process, which is really the core idea of the whole journals from the start.
Excellent. And can you give us a background on what the journals are and describe what they actually are to people that haven't seen them?
So the journals, it's called Kline, which I'll get into later. But the journals are layered paper for creatives. Essentially, the idea is that we all write down or think about things that maybe eventually get written down or talked about. And how can you create a book that allows you to expand your creative process? I think the sort of iPhones only go so far. My notes only have one little way that I can type in them, and I get bored of that because it doesn't allow me to draw or other things.
Yes.
Apple hasn't figured that out yet. That I can touch my screen, and I don't know.
Right.
Maybe there's an app for that, but
Yeah.
I haven't, too much. So
Also, it's not tactile.
it's not
There's
tactile.
no feeling on the screen. It's just
It's very cold.
Yeah.
Just lots of glass. But I'm a big believer that it takes for creativity. You have to have multiple forms to create. You kind of experiment and do things wrong, and part of the creative process is that back and forth, that you kind of do one thing and then do another thing, and then figure out what was between the two, and maybe make a third thing.
yeah.
I don't know. And maybe
Kind of like
that's-
reading multiple books on the same subject, so you get a broader scope of an idea.
right.
You put an idea in multiple media,
Right.
you get a broader scope of the idea.
A broader scope.
Yeah.
A band is way better than virtuoso in my book. But and that's it. It's I'm not smart enough to figure things out on my own. I rely on other people, and I think most of us are in that same boat. And part of it is looking at multiple ideas in multiple ways, and that allows for I guess what we call innovation. I don't know if such a thing exists, but sounds good. So it's buzzy enough that I'll buy it. And that's really the core is like, how can we find ways to allow people to think better, think differently? And I'm a big believer that sketchbooks and the analog way of doing things like radio and paper aren't dead and never will be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
And you come from kind of a design and architecture background, don't you?
I do. So I studied architecture at Carnegie Mellon, and I've kind of since then done I've done construction and different design things, graphic design and web design and architectural design. And I think they're all similar in the way you approach problems. The whether you're doing a sort of website or a video or a radio show, or you're doing a piece of architecture, you have to look at what's the context, who's listening, who's looking, who's using this, and then you sort of put forth ideas. And some of those are good ideas, and some of those are terrible ideas. But it doesn't matter. You kind of take what you know about the world and what other people know about the world and put them together and hope for the best. And it works out. And oftentimes it's that feedback of what doesn't work that allows for really great things to come of it. Some of my favorite pieces of architecture were things that should have, quote, never been built.
Like what? Can you share with that? Like,
well, there's a famous story. Like a lot of people may know the big silvery tower that was recently built in Lower Manhattan by Frank Gehry. It's kind of undulating tower. He was commissioned for a house in the 1980s, and the house was never built. It was for a sort of billionaire man named Peter Lewis, Peter Lewis called up Frank Gehry and said, build me a house. And so Frank Gehry said, oh, well, maybe the house will look like this. And Peter Lewis said, I don't really like that house. And he went through 10 years of just proposing different houses for this billionaire. No. And,
no, not that one either.
No, not that one. Try again,
The doorknobs are weird.
Yeah, too many curves here. Make a few less curves. And,
only one roof?
Only one roof? Let's make 5 roofs. Why not? And but Frank comes back and says later that he says that the fact that he had 10 years to sort of more or less piss around because it was never built, this house. And it ended up going from something that was like a 3-room house to like a 30-room house at one point.
Oh wow!
It just really went kind of crazy.
And he was under commission that whole time. Do you know? Or?
Yeah, it's a really lucky guy.
Okay.
We should all be so fortunate. But
he was like on retainer.
yeah. But he got the time. He got the time to
work.
experiment. And he got the time to learn a lot. And he said that his success in the future, partly in a large part, was due to the fact that he was given this kind of 10 years to make bad ideas,
right.
And figure out how to actually solve these problems that he had posed by this house that never was built.
But who has that kind of patience, really?
That's exactly what I've been working on since 2003. Yeah.
It's only a couple more years, and you're right there.
Right.
Success is around the corner.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And so and I always admired those artists who are able to like self-reflect throughout their career and to like repurpose ideas and discoveries that they've made for further progress in their own careers. And so this story sounds like it's one of those like.
Yeah,
he's able to kind of look at himself and then progress further beyond what he's gone through.
It's a sort of architectural example of it, but you can find it all over art. I'm a big fan of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, mainly because they don't charge $25 for admission.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important. And at the Met, they recently had a show about Matisse's work, and one of the best parts of that Matisse show is that he had this painting of a woman drinking a cup of tea. And you think, oh, a woman drinking a cup of tea, that's a pretty simple subject matter. How hard could it be? And Matisse had like 25 different versions of a woman drinking tea. Like sometimes she was wearing a paler shade of green, or maybe the background was more orange. And he was you could just see him working through like, what is someone drinking tea? I don't know. I'm going to figure it out through 25 paintings. Yeah. And that's pretty cool. I think
they displayed all 25 variations?
They had like 14 of them there. Oh, wow. It was a really incredible. And the fact that you could see, a lot of shows don't have that. And the fact that you could see kind of this, what is normally considered, I guess, a great artist or something like this, and showing his process, showing just how someone that we often think of, okay, there's this Matisse painting in a museum, so he must be great, and it must have done that on the first try. Really just took a lot of effort and took a lot of attempts to figure out what they were doing. I mean, maybe when you get to 100 episodes, you'll look back and say, wow, man, this is episode 23, 24, or 25 were awesome. Who knows? Probably. Yeah. But whatever it is, it's part of that process. It's really the fun part of it. It's not the piece that's in the museum. It's that kind of working through the idea.
Yeah, and it basically it humanizes the artist, and it also makes it something attainable. I can remember thinking of like seeing Dali exhibitions or something, and realizing, of the artists that I idolize, like how much goes into it. Like we've made 25 episodes of this show, but how many of the great paintings I love, there was 100 of them made before they made that one, like the same painting.
Exactly.
And really identifying it as a process and not just this one moment in time that is completely. Defines the artist, but rather the process.
Exactly, and I think that was kind of our MO in making the sketchbooks is that it's all about the process and both from the physical design of it and kind of working through the prototypes and working through the manufacturing to the sort of end result of how artists use this is that we hope that the whole thing is about this engagement with the creative process and how can we learn, how can we all learn from this piece of paper which is been around for a long time. Like the sketchbook is not a new thing. It's not. We're not. Compared to like I mentioned the iPhone earlier, it's not an iPhone or a computer or I don't know, Google Glasses. It's not something like that. It's it's a very basic thing.
But amazingly utilitarian what you're doing with it. Can you describe for us exactly what you've done with the sketchbooks?
Yeah. So with Kline, we've taken as far as our knowledge goes, we're the first company that sort of proposed 3 different types of paper in the same book, which is its own set of challenges. But we've added sort of we take a really thin piece of like parchment trace paper, which is about 50 GSM. It's translucent. You can see right through it. It's almost like rolling paper for cigarettes, that kind of thickness. And then we take that and we add that with a sort of bond paper, which is like what most printers put out. And then we take also a watercolor paper, which is really heavy, 120 GSM. It'll take markers and paint, hopefully, depending on how. If you're not oil paint, I don't recommend, but put all these together and we put them into the same book, because the idea is that some people use the really thin paper to develop ideas, and some people use the really heavy paper to develop ideas, and some people use all three. Maybe an architect uses all three and a painter uses one, but looking at kind of history, there's a distinct acknowledgement that maybe everyone uses all three actually. So putting those together and seeing what we can do to combine something like paper, which is everyone knows paper, but maybe people don't know different types of paper, and maybe someone that uses only printer paper could benefit by adding translucent paper to their thought process. Or adding heavier paper. I mean, maybe you start using markers instead of using just ballpoint pens. So that's sort of the nexus of the idea. And books are all, they're sized as A5, so they're sort of convenient for most shoulder bag type of things. A5 is the sort of 8.5 by 11 folded in half size book. We put a hardcover on it because I'm pretty abusive to my sketchbooks. To most things I have in life, I'm pretty abusive to. So it's got to hold up to that.
Yeah, it's got to be rugged.
It's got to be rugged. And we've covered them with a cotton canvas. And the idea with the cotton is that certain competitors of ours use a leather canvas, which is not only is it sort of cruel to animals, but it doesn't allow you to write on it. And I think one of the coolest things is that you can put on the cover of your book like a skateboard. You can customize skateboards, but you couldn't customize a sketchbook. Is sort of like, what? I don't understand. So we put a cotton cover on it so that way you can paint on it, you can draw on it, you can write on it. So this is this is Joe's book, or
you put the title on the spine.
Title on the spine,
Yeah, cool.
all those kind of things. We're offering screen prints. We have a really cool local group of guys downstairs doing some screen prints for us. So we've got some custom maps and things.
Awesome.
That we're
Yeah.
offering.
Shout out to Silkies, right?
Shout out to Silkies. Yeah, great work downstairs.
Yeah. Really cool.
So this is kind of all around looking at something like as simple as paper and the sketchbook, and what can we add to the creative process or give creative people to do with something as banal almost as a sketchbook.
Yeah.
So,
And so does it go the vellum page and then the medium page and then the heavier page and then alternate 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3?
No, we
It's
it's in sections. Okay. There's a couple of reasons for that, for technical purposes, which I can go into. But the book that has all three types of paper is sort of divided into thirds, where the first third alternates between the translucent paper and the printer paper, kind of A/B. The middle is just sort of the standard printer paper in case you want to get a normal bit of thought down, and the back is the sort of watercolor paper.
Gotcha.
But that's been perforated, so you could actually tear out a page of the watercolor paper, put it behind the trace or behind the bonds. You could do this sort of 1, 2, 3 option if you wanted to. And then we offer two other books that are sort of similar takes on that. One of them just has the vellum paper with a bond. There's no watercolor involved because some people are watercolor is too much for them. I understand that.
It's thick paper.
It's really thick paper.
If you're not into it.
Paintbrushes
Taking up a
are
lot of-
difficult things, man. They're very, the whole like having a bristle and a stick, too much for me most of the days.
But really good to have all those options.
Really good to have the options.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And sort of then we also offer a sort of normal journal that's just but with the normal journal that's all the same paper type, we've alternated between line pages and blank pages because maybe you're a poet who likes to write freeform poetry and doesn't have any sort of order with lines, but then wants to explain what the freeform is doing on the line paper, or you're someone who I have a lot of friends who like to sort of journal on one side and then take a photograph or do a sketch on the other side. So you can kind of go left and right, and you can work back and forth. And even something as simple as that is like a normal journal that's been produced, but not many people are doing this sort of like, how can you add to the creative process with a very standard thing?
I love the idea of it. It's so pragmatic, and it puts it in the hands of these are the people that are using it, that this is what we want to use. I can think of several reasons why I would really appreciate to have something like that.
Yeah, and we've worked really hard. One of our big things is these should be accessible at a price point for everyone, which has led to both good things and bad things. It's part of the process. Making something that's cheap and available for poor artists like ourselves.
Still keep that quality element.
But keep the quality element.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing. It's really a tough thing. But we've so far we've been able to achieve the sort of $20 and under price point, and hopefully we'll continue that in the future. We'll see how it goes.
Cool. And we're going to take a few minutes now, maybe to go through some slides. You brought some images to share with us.
Pictures?
Yeah, I brought some slides.
Great.
So this first slide is a bit of an odd slide, maybe considering where you guys are. But this is a piece of classical art. You can find it at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and this is Esther meeting Erasmus. Now, we were looking at a kind of tiny screen, so you may not be familiar with this piece, and if you're not, I recommend you to go check it out at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The reason I brought this slide and what's fascinating to me, it's one of my favorite pieces of classical art, is actually the part that you can't see at this resolution, which is between the two characters that you see. Esther's on the left, Erasmus is on the right, but there's actually a sort of ghosted image of a slave boy.
Yeah, on the panel or something.
On the panel. Well, it's kind of on the he's kind of on the steps. No, he's on the steps, kind of where Erasmus's left foot is. There's actually this kind of ghosted image of a slave boy.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go in person, it's very clear, and if you look at it in low res, it's really hard to see. What I like about it is that a lot of times in classical art, we think of classical artists as this sort of like frozen in stone. They got everything right the first time. You know, these guys were just geniuses that never made mistakes, and that's classical art. You know, it's Caravaggio and
Right.
you know, Titian, blah 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 names. You know, but I like this painting because it shows that even sort of in the 16th century, you know, people are painting at the very end of it. You're painting and you're still making a mistake and deciding, oh, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe that character wasn't a good one.
Didn't need to be here.
Didn't need to be here. So we're just going to paint over it. And I like the
gotcha.
fact that it kind of shows the process. And if you haven't seen it in person, I really encourage you to check it out. It's at the Met, which is free. Quote free.
Quote free?
$25 suggested donation to the Met.
Oh, okay.
But you can pay what
So
you
if
like.
you have no money, you can still go in.
You can give them a quarter and they'll let you in.
Oh, okay. Do they have a line?
They don't have a queue.
Are nickels too
Nope.
little?
Nope. They appreciate. You have to give them some donation,
Yeah.
but
And you have to face them
Yeah.
when you give it to them. So
Yeah.
that's the hard part.
you do.
'Cause I've done
you do.
it. Here I'm like, here's $1.
Here's
$1.
my
And they're like, no, is it? Because
penny.
it suggested 20, and I was like, yeah, I see, but that's
I know.
Yeah.
But I cashed in my beer last night and got this 5 cents.
I can
Yeah.
read
I
the
recycled a bottle.
And
Got
she's like,
5 cents.
Okay. I'm like, you're gonna do me a favor. It's your job. Come on, let me in.
Yeah, yeah. But you get to see great art like this, you know, which
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's the like art shouldn't have a barrier to that.
Mm.
So I love this painting because it talks about the creative process. And then the next piece I brought is actually this sketchbook by Da Vinci, which is it's an excerpt from. You can find this all online. This is actually London is wonderful about this. For some reason, London believes that public art should be cheaper than America does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it's one of those British things. But Da Vinci has this amazing sketchbook that's available at the British Library online. And you can go through and look at all of his pages and where he's like figuring out his process.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this was great as someone who's thinking about sketchbooks. Da Vinci is a great person to go back to because obviously it's.
How did he use sketchbooks?
How did he use sketchbooks? You know, he wrote backwards in
Yeah.
Latin. He wrote because if you actually look at this, the writing goes right to left, which no one wrote right to left.
Was that
Did he
mirror
use a
writing or
mirror writing?
just backwards?
It's mirror
But he
writing.
would do mirror writing, right?
Yeah. Like naturally,
Mhm.
which is
Ambidextrous.
Like without a mirror.
like Jimi Hendrix,
Like the exact same
playing the guitar
symmetrical.
backwards,
Yeah.
stringing them upside down.
Yeah.
So you know, maybe Jimi Hendrix and Da Vinci had something in common.
Well, I wish for a collab there, man.
left-handed
right?
and backwards.
Left-handed and backwards. So I think this is just like very simple, but it's again thinking about sketchbooks and creative process. It's a very old thing. It's not a new idea, the sketchbook, but what can we add to it? And then the next slide is this set of geometries by an architect, and I was trained as an architect, so forgive my repeated architecture references. But this is by a guy named Louis Sullivan, and he did a building in New York that's over. It's over in Soho. You can find it. It's got these very beautiful facade, but he was sort of classically trained, sort of one of these bridge between the classicists and the modernists. And the reason I like this slide is because it shows him taking a pentagram and turning it into this kind of ornate piece of ornament. And he kind of describes the process in the slide where you take a circle and you add a square and then you add more sides and all of a sudden it becomes a pentagon and then from the pentagon you sort of bifurcate and boom, all of a sudden you have this magical piece of ornament. And again, it's talking about this process that ornament doesn't come from nowhere. And it's kind of rare to find this. A lot of times we go around the city and see architecture and we assume that this is just spontaneous genius or something like that.
Yeah, but from what I hear about architecture, there's a lot of thought that goes into the actual idea.
Don't tell anyone. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of us have heard bands and you hear live performances of bands and you see that they're sort of working through things.
Right.
And architecture is this thing that ends up kind of, it just appears and then
Right.
it goes from a hole in the ground to this finished product.
Right.
And you don't see there's no like live demo. There's no EP on a piece of architecture.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the sort of version of where the process emerges and comes out of. And this has just always been a sort of inspirational piece for me. And if you're someone who likes who's musical or who's artistically inclined, I think this is a really cool. Just how does it work? I don't know. Figure it out. It's kind of fun. So moving on. This is just a picture of our team. Shout out to my team. We've got a really great team on Kline. The whole creative process, just like you guys with the three of you here, you can't do anything by yourself. I really believe that creativity comes from dialogue, people talking back and forth. Like, oh, what did you do over Thanksgiving? I did some crazy things. I ate some turkey. I made some crack and cheese.
Yeah,
and you get new things from the people around you, not from maybe your own brain. So shout out to my team, Hassan Karimi, my co-founder Erica Berger, and my brother Andrew Cummings. They were in a sort of like little cube of portraits. Kind of fun. We all have a little color.
Nice.
But my team is excellent, and I think one of the great things about Brooklyn today is that you get a lot of people that just come together and collaborate. Yeah. It's something that I wasn't necessarily raised with, but I think is really, really wonderful energy that you get in the city is that you can bring a bunch of otherwise unconnected people together and say, let's make something great. So shout out to the creative team.
Yeah, and then it can happen.
Right on.
It can happen.
Because you can have ideas anywhere.
You can have ideas anywhere. You can have ideas in Detroit, and they'll end up in an empty block.
But people are generally motivated around this area to actually get to a final product.
Yeah. I don't know why. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I'm right now. I'm just enjoying it.
I think it's just frequency of the occasion.
Yeah.
Really, because the odds, the population goes up that much, the odds for everything go up, and suddenly you're in a neighborhood where everybody's thinking the same, and like happenstance, but with high frequency. I don't know. I don't think there's a genuine shift. I don't think there's genuine drive other than what each artist has in their own to make something, and then we're all here together. So
there was a book
That's
that I
the
was
catalyst.
told recently about that. I don't know the author's name. Forgive me for that. But he was talking about the nature of innovation is because we live in cities. He says that cities are sort of the basis of innovation, and that because more people are living in cities, we have more great ideas now than we did hundreds of years ago. I was thinking well, duh, man.
There's more mixing.
More mixing.
We're putting more ideas together and making full ideas instead of just these fragments that we have on our own.
Exactly. So the next slide sort of gets back to that, and this is just a quick drawing that I don't know. This is the only drawing you'll see of my hand, but Kline actually comes from the word Kline, which is what our books are called. Actually comes from geology or biology, depending on where you want to list your science. It's both applicable, and it actually means a layering of elements that you can determine time with. So if you, a lot of times I just drove back from Pennsylvania, and I drive through these mountainsides that were blasted out to make highways, and you see these kind of sheer rock faces, and you see the different layers of rock, and if those are actually Klines. So
each
it's the
collective is a Kline?
The collective layers is a Kline. So in geology, if it's an upward thrust, it's called an anticline. Okay. So like a mountain is an anticline, because the older layers, if you look at them horizontally, the older layers are sort of up here, and then the newer layers are way up there.
Gotcha.
I don't know. So that allows you to determine geological time by these different layers and these different strata. So it's a term that's like in a depression is a syncline. There's a really cool syncline in Mauritania. I don't know.
There are a lot of those in California too, where they're doing highways and they carve into the rock, and then you see the layered.
You see the layers.
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by that ever since I was a kid. I'd sit in the back of the car and look at them. I don't know, what's that rock?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to me.
Yeah.
Have you seen the what is it, the Delaware Water Gap? Where there's that big sort of
just those sheer, exactly. Those sheer, they didn't blast it with dynamite. Engineering progress, something like that. So this is just sort of a demonstration of how, and that was one of the bases of the book, right? Again, like how can we layer things together? And in geology, it tells us this incredible history that it's about time and about humanity and about where the glaciers were.
Oh yeah, and at different times there's different atmospheres and different minerals in the
Different
soil, and so you end up with these different layers with different textures that suit different purposes. And
Exactly. We
yeah,
might have
that's
a,
amazing.
biology.
That's just like
we might have a
yeah.
book with some dead dinosaurs in it in the future.
Cool.
Buried in.
Nice.
And this is the fossil layer.
This is the fossil layer.
Yeah, awesome.
So
Actual ancient brine shrimp in this layer.
that'd be pretty awesome, right? This is the
Trilobites.
fossil page, and these are just some actual shots of the product. This is me over in Bushwick on a roof, kind of showing different ways to use the trace paper, and the image you see is an architectural plan. So a lot of us have kind of crappy New York apartments where there's spaces at a premium, and we're trying to figure out where we can fit our bed, much less our actual bodies.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things about trace paper is you could draw out your apartment, and then you could put the trace paper down, and you could say, well, maybe I'll put the sofa there, and you can kind of figure it out. And maybe this is just an architect talking, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's fun
Yeah.
to me. It's one way you can use trace paper if you've never seen trace paper before, besides in a cigarette. And then this is another use of it for those, I guess, again, more biologically minded. You could do, if you're studying for some sort of exam, you could put your printout of a skeletal system
Oh, yeah,
and then
that's really
trace
great.
the circulatory system.
Yeah.
Where does your head go? Where's your heart? You can kind of use this in different ways. You can learn from it. You can
And there's a certain practical effect too, right? When you're learning something, if you trace it out or copy it again or something like that,
Exactly.
you're reinforcing learning it. I can imagine.
You're
this-
reinforcing.
Yeah, for biology or something, this would be great. Like you're talking about, like actually
Yeah.
helping you memorize it by tracing it, and
Yeah.
Exactly. Working through it.
Mhm.
And how does that happen? And so we're gonna move from here, I guess, into the this is sort of a nice image of the finished product, and then I guess the interesting question for us as creators is how do you create something that allows people to create? Which is like this radio show is a great example of that, right? Where
Facilitate.
you
Yeah.
facilitate creativity, but that's a lot of big words.
Right.
Um,
And it's a fleeting idea. How do you facilitate creativity?
yeah, very fleeting.
And there are things you can do. There are factors you can control, but is there like an absolute situation you can create?
I've heard that exposed brick makes people more creative.
Oh yeah.
It's not true.
I was gonna say, who told you that one?
That's a clever lie.
Wait, is the opposite true?
no bricks. I'm feeling pretty good.
I know.
Feeling great. There's no bricks.
So it can't hurt, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, it's up for grabs.
If they're not sealed, I think they can actually physically hurt you.
I see.
They might have asbestos and
They might jump at you,
fall out of the wall.
fall down. So we've kind of worked through. We've done a number of prototypes about like you asked earlier about, is it an ABC or an AB or an AB? And we've as designers, we want to figure out not only what do we want to have, but what is actually possible.
Right.
I think one of the cool things about innovation is to ask the question, why has this not been done before?
Right.
Because maybe every once in a while you get something like the screw,
Right.
Where it's a genuine innovation.
I have this
You
new
know.
nail. Whatever. Nails
Whatever.
are great.
Nails are great.
No, seriously, check it out.
This nail moves water. What? That's amazing.
I have this great thing to put between your shoe and your foot. It's a sock.
Really?
You know, that's another thing that comes along.
It's incredible. Velcro, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
those are pretty rare. The sort of genuine innovations that are sort of totally out of the blue, and I think more often it's a question of like maybe it's means, maybe it's technology, maybe it's availability of materials. There's a reason, like if you look at medieval manuscripts, you can actually tell the value of a medieval manuscript by how much blue is in the manuscript, because indigo was a really rare material, and so if you were really wealthy, you would have a lot of indigo because you could afford to buy blue. Today you go to Uniqlo and there's like 45 different shades of blue.
Yeah.
I think your tie has 45 different shades of blue.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
It's from Uniqlo.
it's from
And it was very expensive.
It's very expensive. So this question of like why haven't things been done before is really intriguing to me as a designer.
Yeah.
Because I often don't know that answer. So we started to put together and prototype different versions of this and see what worked both practically and from manufacturing standpoints. I've learned more about paper arrangements and alignments than I ever knew before.
Yeah.
It's incredible. What do you know about
It's
paper?
really interesting when you do get into a specific trade, if you will, how nuanced it does get down in there. For people who don't do it,
Yeah.
you'd never know, nor need to know, nor need to care, or any of that.
Yeah, it's kind of
When
incredible.
you're in it, like, oh, okay, these are challenges I need to face.
Challenges, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. That sort of depth of knowledge of just different professions.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of mind-boggling. And kind of humanity has kind of developed them all independently.
Yeah.
Sort of like they sort of don't touch each other.
They do have this sense of like we're holding the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard to get to.
Yeah.
It's
the
not being
value.
shared so much. Sort of like the guild of, I guess, bookmakers.
Yeah, the Guild of Bookmakers. There is indeed a Guild of Bookmakers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I learned this recently.
Did you have to like
talk about
pay
it?
dudes to get into the guild?
They,
so
you
that
do have-
you could
they,
get
they
the
just had
secrets?
and I found out because I was calling around to manufacturers in the U.S. and they're like, "Are you going to the Guild conference in D.C.?"
Are you affiliated with the guild? Well, then we're not interested.
We can't talk to you unless you're a member of the Guild. I kind of want to be a member of the Guild. Do I get a gold coin?
You have your special bibliophile name. and everything.
File name. Only if it comes with a gold coin. So
mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say you brought some other sketches as well.
Yeah, so
right?
let's keep going through the images here.
Is this next one just, well, not the next one. The next one. Is there something on that, or is that a blank page?
This is like an exploded version of the journal, right?
Yeah, go to the next image because there's actually some text on that. So if you're watching, oh, here we go.
Cool.
Oh,
No, stay there. Stay there. This is an animated GIF. It's the newest thing in the web.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'm told all the kids are doing these days.
Yeah. GIF.
So this is a
Ooh.
video
or a GIF.
picture?
It's a video. It's like
Nice.
peanut butter. So
Cool. Yeah, really cool.
this is sort of how the books go together. This is a little animation of that that we've developed over time, and you can see the sort of different papers being assembled, and then what's called signatures. To make a book, you have what are called some people call them mini books, but they're actually called signatures. I don't know why they're called signatures. I have no idea if anyone knows why
Like
they're
a
called
sample
signatures.
or something,
Like
or
the
what-
folios?
What is that?
Yeah, well, within like if you look at a dictionary, a
Mhm.
dictionary has maybe 30 signatures to make a dictionary,
To, like,
and a
the
signature,
individual-
yeah, it's the bifolded page, and then you stitch that bifolded page together, and that's one signature.
So you can't fold like 150 pages over to one like very round.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work.
Yeah. By the time you get to the middle page, it would be really small, right?
It ends up. It's like if you buy a ream of paper. It's like you end up with like a pyramid of paper.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, right?
You lose most of the paper by the time you.
Yeah,
It
it's
won't
like
be
a
able-
composition book is what you're talking about. I mean, the
Yeah.
little black and white cover
Yeah, yeah.
ones. Yeah, they basically fold
But that's
those
why they
in
don't
half
have
and
like
stitch 'em up.
700-page versions of
Stitch-
those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not writing that much.
Exactly. So you take these signatures. You take your paper and you collate it, and then you make a signature, and then you take the signatures and you put them together and make a book. I guess like a musical piece.
Right.
It's kind of maybe it comes from the same place.
So you have the little
Signatures.
movements of paper within the overall opus.
Within the overall paper, exactly. Within the overall opus, which is a book. I'm sure there's a linguistic expert who would tell us that they're actually related according to some Latin prose,
Oh, like where signature comes from?
where signature comes from.
Yeah.
And
I'm
opus.
sure there's someone who knows it.
Yeah.
There must be someone.
And a group of them was called an autograph.
You can get the whole Mets team. They're cheap. So the next, let's go ahead on from the animated thing. You'll watch this like twice, and then you've seen enough. So this is just an assembly of what the book is now, and kind of you're asking earlier about how the book is assembled, and this is sort of a quick exploded drawing of it.
Yeah.
I've seen this a lot, but you can see the different layered papers going together, and how you have like a layer of translucent, and then you have a layer of ruled paper or grid paper or so on.
There are varieties.
Varieties, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Like 50 Shades of Grey.
Mm-hmm. 50
What's
variations
that?
of Kline.
Yeah, 50 variations of Kline. It gets more promiscuous as you go on. All the middle-aged women are buying it, though. So, okay, go ahead and move on. And, this is a real picture as opposed to an animated picture of what the pages look like. So you can see the translucent page, and you have a ruled page beneath. If you're an English teacher, this is great because you can edit your documents,
On top of
or
the- yeah, that's
you
cool.
can sort of red line without ruining the original. If you're just someone who likes to draw, it's even more fun. I promise you. Kids love it as well. It's one of the few. It's you know what's the cool thing about sketchbooks is that I can talk about sketchbooks with people who are like 5,
Right.
and with people who are like 85.
Mm-hmm.
And if I talk about anything else, like the 85-year-olds and the 5-year-olds are not on the same page. You know, it's just
people
like
are real particular about it too.
people are real particular about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of incredible.
Yeah, when I
I-
bought sketchbooks, there would be certain ones that'd be like, okay, I want this thickness, this stock, everything about it. You know, is
This
a
one
very-
doesn't feel right. Nope.
Yeah, just like I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah, and I try to talk about other things with people, and it just doesn't work. Like you talk about cars or musical instruments.
There's not a lot of universal subjects.
There's not a lot of universal subjects. You know,
I
the
think peanut butter is another one.
peanut butter. Some people still haven't realized that peanut butter. What? It comes in a jar? You know, some people haven't realized that Dylan went electric, and it's still like, I don't believe in electric guitars.
What?
You can amplify that? That's crazy talk. So you know, it's kind of fun with sketchbook. So the next image we have actually shows the signatures that we were talking about, and if you look, you can see how this is the book, one of the prototypes being opened, and you can see that first signature kind of holds there, and then you can see the sort of ribbon binding, and then the series of other signatures. And actually, if you look closely at the bottom, you can see the watercolor paper in this book. So it's a much heavier paper
Yeah.
down below,
Yeah.
and then there's a sort of mixture of translucent and other pairs. It almost looks like one of those mountain. It looks like just like that mountain sketch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
like
see
the
the
mountain
layers.
sketch.
Yeah.
So you know, you could be anything on this mountain.
And so the signatures of your book, are they more loosely bound so that they specifically open flatter? I was reading something about that. On your site, that you
So
want them
we
to
do,
open
and
flatter.
we do have that actually in 2 images. I have a little thing about opening flat. So this
I don't
is
mean to
actually
pre-introduce it.
no,
for
that's
you.
cool. That's cool. This is actually an extraordinary challenge because I said earlier that one of the challenges about being a designer is why hasn't this been done before?
Yeah.
And so one
Which
of the
sometimes is met with because it's not possible,
because it's not
or
possible.
because it's very difficult.
Right. It turns out that's true. So they do. We've actually, one of the things we've tried to do is make the book open flat,
Mm-hmm.
which has proved way more difficult than that sentence is. Book opens flat. Really difficult to do. Really easy to say. One of the reasons for that is that when you have multiple pieces of paper together, they have different sort of structural integrities, because paper is actually incredibly structural at a sort of really small level.
Mm-hmm.
And so to get different structures to work the same way, like if you look at a bridge, most bridges are all made of steel, which is all the same basic material. If you made a bridge of like steel and glass, it becomes all of a sudden much more difficult.
I'd imagine.
You know, that's why you don't see a lot of steel and glass bridges. You know, for various reasons. And so doing a book with a really heavy paper like watercolor and really light paper like trace paper is kind of like that. You know, it's kind of combining. It's like a 12-string where you have a bass on the bottom, and then you have a sort of ukulele neck on the other side.
Nice.
And,
yeah, I
you
like
know,
the metaphor,
What
yeah.
pickup am I going to use to get both of these strings?
Right. What pickup are you going to use to get both resonance? And so it's actually really tough to get the book to open flat and still be structural enough to hold the really heavy paper and the really light paper, because the processes that are traditionally used to open with heavy paper will basically tear the light paper, and if you're
Right.
sensitive enough to the light paper, the heavy paper doesn't even open. So you know, it's been a design challenge for us. We actually solved it by a process called Smythe sewing, which is where you take a thread and to make each signature you actually thread stitch them. And this first run of books that we've done is actually hand stitched to make that work, because it's a very difficult process to machine, because the machines can't be calibrated properly.
Yeah, especially with the different weights of paper.
The different weights of paper.
Right.
So you know, it's definitely a learning thing. This is an example of those prototypes. Our prototypes actually came out really well. We achieved a lot of success with the prototypes, and so we went on Kickstarter because we got these. We tested these books before we went live with them, like hopefully most creative people do. Some things aren't tested first, like Google operating systems. But we tested these books and we went live on the internet. And we told people, hey, we got this cool idea about layered paper. And we went to one of these crowdfunding platforms called Kickstarter. And we said, we think we have a cool idea. What do you think? And we got a really great response. And we were able to raise enough money to make a production line of these books on Kickstarter.
Awesome.
Which is really cool. It's something that I think is one of the really, you know, it certainly has its problems, like most modern things do. You're sort of working out the kinks as they go.
Right.
But it's cool because with Kickstarter we were able to take a creative idea that may have never left my desk or my co-founder's desk and turn it into something that was sort of even bigger. One of the great things about anything you do is sort of put it out there in the world and you test it.
Right.
And see what people say.
Hopefully,
right? Or you crash and burn, which is also fun.
But it's good to know.
It's good to know.
It's good to have the finality.
It's good to have the finality. So we're not Boeing. Boeing with their new airplane had like 10 years to work on a new airplane, and I'm not Boeing. I don't have that much money sitting aside in a secret. Otherwise, I wouldn't live in Bushwick.
Yeah.
Probably none of us would. But so we put it on Kickstarter, and Kickstarter gave us the platform to test this and to see if it was a viable product. And people responded really positively. We were able to raise a bunch of money to make it a full production line, and bring the books to market. So that was a really, really great thing. And shout out to the folks at Kickstarter because they were really supportive the whole time.
Excellent. Yeah, I saw your Kickstarter page recently, just post facto, and I was like, yeah, right on.
Yeah,
Great,
it's a great community. They really, I'll be honest, they definitely tell you if you mess up, and but they're very supportive of new ideas. So it's a wonderful, wonderful feedback system.
Cool.
Which is great, and I encourage anyone who has an idea that they want to try, even if it's a crazy idea, to try it out on Kickstarter. Okay, moving on. So this is just a quick summary. You can find this on our website. This is about the layered paper, the laying flat, canvas covers, all stuff we've covered already. You can see this graphic on our website. Move on from this. Next couple of slides are just some product images because I'm obligated as the, I guess, designer and owner of a company to say that we got cool things. So these are just some images of the product.
Cool.
You're gonna flip through these, showing layered paper. You see the watercolor on the right, the trace paper and bond paper in the middle, so on.
Cool.
This shows the different color of the trace with the grid paper. You can use pastels. You can use all sorts of things.
Awesome. Are they all different sizes, or is it just one standard size?
We have one size right now because we're just starting off. When you increase the sizes, you have more variables. So,
but it's like slightly larger than a half page. Is that
yeah,
the
basically,
because A4 is a little bigger than letter.
Yeah, it's basically a letter page.
Yeah,
folded in half.
It's half. Yeah.
But we will be moving up and down. We're gonna be moving all over the place.
Okay.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Kline larger.
Nice.
In 3D.
Kline smaller.
Kline smaller, not in 3D. Yeah. We will go larger. We had really a lot of fun at the Comic-Con. We went to the Comic-Con and talked to a bunch of artists.
Cool. Yeah.
And they were like, make a bigger book, man.
I'm sure. Good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. Great feedback.
One that's like giant.
Yeah, big portfolio size or something, right?
Exactly. I know some comic book artists, and I realize that comic books are drawn giant. I mean, when people draw comics, they draw them in like 24 by 36 pages, which most people don't realize, I guess.
Yeah.
But all those comic artists want
not drawn
giant.
actual size.
Not drawn actual size.
Yeah.
It's drawn the size of an actual superhero. You should see the Incredible Hulk books.
Yeah, right.
They're massive.
Crop circles.
They're just pictures, really.
Crop circles. And so again, these are just kind of product images, and you can just kind of cycle through these. These are just how it's assembled, how it's done. You can take this if you want to support, MoMA. You can go to MoMA with your Kline. It works.
Cool.
Yeah, but you'll pay more for MoMA than you will for a Kline, which is crazy. And I guess the last couple images we have here, one of them is I talked earlier about the cotton covers, and one of the things that I think is really cool and we're going to keep working on is the ability to customize covers. And the next image we have is by a artist who was in Bushwick for a while, young French woman named Diana from Paris, and she did this custom cover for us and showed that you can take a sort of Sharpie marker and draw really cool art on your Kline and customize it.
Cool.
Which I don't know. I thought it was a great thing to see.
This is great. Have I seen this? Was this here at your show?
This was here. This was at the show. Yeah, this was downstairs.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, she was super cool. She was at the show, and we'll be getting other. If you're an artist who wants to do a custom cover for Kline, send me an email.
Cool.
Because we're looking to get local artists, and we will take your design and talk to our screen printers, and we can do a limited run of your art.
That's awesome. Where can people email you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
JC@KlineNYC.com.
JC@KlineNYC.com. Yeah,
and that's
cool.
KLINE.
KLINE.
NYC.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
very
no,
cool.
that's
I think it's very.
Listed there.
Is this coming up right there?
This is what's called
This might be a PNG.
transparent PNG.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
I think we're seeing black on black.
Well,
Maybe a little bit of white around the edges.
yeah, it's like a Jay-Z album.
Cool. Nice.
So
Kline, the Black Album.
Cool. I love what you're doing with the journal and everything. I think it's really awesome that you're coming from the perspective of what people need. It's very pragmatic, very utilitarian. And
Some
yeah,
people call that
so
boring.
you've gone through the Kickstarter page already. Is there a way we can get our hands on one of these ourselves, or what do we have to wait? Or
So they are technically available on the website.
Technically.
Technically, but except I've temporarily suspended orders. So if you want to get one tomorrow, you have to wait like 2 weeks.
Okay.
that's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing. It's a
yeah.
good thing.
You're
No, we're
backed up.
working. We're just, you know what? As part of this learning process, not everything we haven't gotten everything right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got some books that are really great. We've got some books that are not so great. And so we're working to make all the books great.
Right.
And so we're not going to send you a book that's not so great. So we're kind of working out some kinks. But if you really want a book, send me an email. jc@klinenyc.com.
Mm-hmm.
But the website's a really cool website. A really talented young web programmer has helped us out with that. Stephen Chu is our web programmer. Did really great work, and it's a beautifully interactive site. Lots of fun to visit, even if you don't actually buy a book.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the books and tell your friends about it, and they'll be available soon.
Cool.
We'll be back live again. Maybe after 2 weeks at the party.
Awesome.
We'll be
Yeah,
live
check
again.
with us at the party. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, check with us. Just keep following us out. And we're on
Awesome.
we're on these social media things like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and I don't know, whatever the kids are using these
Cool.
days.
But the webpage is KlineNYC.com.
Yep, KlineNYC.com, and our handle on all those other things is also Kline NYC. KLINE NYC.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
At Twitter and Instagram and all the other.
All those, it's all the same.
Excellent.
Crazy.
Easy.
Easy. I like to, it's a, easy button.
Yeah.
I can't do too many more names than that.
Nice. All right. Thank you so much, Joshua, for joining us.
Mike,
yeah,
thanks for
very
having
good
me
segment.
on. A pleasure, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Really enjoyed learning about that. And yeah, check it out. The journal is really good thinking. Yeah. I look forward to see what you guys do in the future.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep moving.
And just a quick aside at the end of that, is there something else planned? Are you guys working on something else that might be a Kickstarter or something like that?
Nothing new on Kickstarter coming up,
Mhm.
but like I said, we're going to be just doing domestic manufactured books, which is fun.
Cool.
Nothing more fun than actually visiting factories.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have some, I don't know, Apple does all these videos with like, look at how cool our diamond milled phones are. We'll have some cool, not so diamond milled things, but we'll have some really cool. Look at paper being brought together and collated.
Awesome.
Got some great videos coming.
I love not so diamond milled things. So yeah.
It's true. It's much more fun.
Yeah, it is. Right.
Paper is a girl's best friend.
Oh, depends on its structural integrity, I think.
Yeah, true enough.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks again, John.
All right,
Very
a
cool.
pleasure, man.
Enjoy.
Oh, man.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, really good. Joshua Cummings and Kline. That was great. So KlineNYC.com. All right, great. So yeah, that was great. We're gonna
slate it up and then
Slate it
start
up.
Blaine.
I think we're gonna do a little aside right now.
Let's do awesome.
Join us in 20 or so seconds
Wow.
after the slate
Well, do you want to do a
goes away. What?
stay
Give an
tuned?
introduction.
No.
Stay
well, I
tuned.
mean, yeah, I just want to do you want to tell us what we're gonna see?
Wait, is this the part of the thing?
Is what part?
Is
of
we
this
in
the thing now? Are
Is
we
this-
in the
are
thing?
you in the thing? Are you doing the thing right
I'm
now?
not doing
Are
that
we in the
thing.
thing
Doing the
right now?
thing.
This is what
Okay,
I'm
so
going into a bit.
We should go into
This
like
is-
stay tuned, basically, right?
I wasn't ready. All right, start now.
No, I mean,
I'm ready.
you're
now.
already.
We're
in
good.
it.
We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. Yeah.
No. I just thought you were
Keep it
gonna
together.
do, like a little red light. Maybe I can.
Yeah,
put
yeah,
some
no, that's what we're
water
doing,
or
yeah,
something
so-
set up for a sec.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
have
We will
time
be
for
right
that.
back.
I would think.
And now, an improvised performance by Blaine Kneece.
So, this is just a story. I'm just telling a story about what happened to me a little while ago. It's basically it comes down to why I'm the greatest guy in the world. And, if I didn't tell this story, nobody would, right? So, it's a story about how I saved an old woman from burning to death in a fire. And, it's not a big deal. So, but anyway, so my girlfriend, she's like an artist. She draws and stuff, and she's to an art school down in Atlanta. So she's like, hey, I'm going to go to Atlanta. So I'm like, well, I don't got shit going on. I'm going to go with you, right? So I go down to Atlanta. We get in a house, right? So it's in the middle of nowhere. Fuck. And there's nothing to do, right? So I start going down to this bar down the street. I'm drinking, with the local dudes. They're good guys and stuff. So it's the middle of the night, right? It's like 2. Okay, so it's like 2. Like, bars closed, everybody. Last call, dude. They play Bon Jovi. We got to get. So they, I'm walking out, right? So I'm walking out. Fuck it. Check it. So I'm walking out of the place, right? I'm like, yo, dudes, go do whatever you got to do, good night, I'm going to walk home. No, I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm good to walk. So they didn't trust me walking. That's how fucked up I was, dude. So they were like, give me the keys. You're not walking home. So I was like, all right. So I'm walking home. I'm stumbling down the street, So I see this. We had just moved in the neighborhood, right? And there's one other house there, on the block, but it's a little far, kind of far away, but you could see it. So there was a neighbor. I realized we hadn't even talked to her since we moved in, and it's just not cool to do that, Moving on the block, you got to say something. You got to do something nice, So my girlfriend, she had a gift basket all made up for him, and I was supposed to deliver it. And it was just sitting on the coffee table, and it was just sitting there the whole time. And it was a week had gone by, and I was just totally spaced on it. So I thought, I should probably introduce myself to her. So it was and I wasn't in the right frame of mind, So I looked at her house, and I was like, okay, well, let me just go up to the front door, and tell her, what's up. I felt like a real pressing need to tell her something at that moment, So I knock on the door. I'm just bang, 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 and there's just nothing. So I knock harder, bang, 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 nothing, I just start slamming on her front door. Finally, the light comes on, and she comes down, she's like, what's going on? I'm like, hey. I was real excited to, because I wanted to give her a good impression at night, I was like, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm really sorry. I live down the road, and we were supposed to there was this gift basket. I was just supposed to introduce myself to you prior to tonight. I know it's late. She's like, what do you want? And I was like, yo, it's fucked up, that's messed up, okay. All right, I'm gonna let that go, She's like, what do you want? I'm like, okay, well, I'm a neighbor. I'm just trying to be a good neighbor. And I figured, I wouldn't bother you late at night, but I was walking down the road. I looked up. I noticed the top of your house is on fire. Good night. And so I was left. And the top of her house, it must have been electrical cable or something. It was in blue flame, up on the top of her house, And I was like, I was out. I was pissed, So I was I was walking home, So I get home, my girlfriend's there, she's pissed at me, and I tell her the whole story, and she's on the other lady's side. And she's like, yo, you got to go help her, And I was like, I knew calling the fireman wasn't going to do anything, because those are the dudes I was drinking with at the bar. So, I know none of those dudes were showing up if I called. So I was like, fuck it, I got to do this. I got to be the guy that goes there. So I grabbed the gift basket. So I go, I'm walking down the road, and there's just people just out on the lawn just looking up at this thing. So she's running around like crazy. She's like, oh my God, something's going, and I hear this little sound. I look up, and there's in the top, in the third floor window, there's an old lady up there. It's she was just halfway out of the window, and there was flames right behind her. I swear, just I call silhouette and billowing smoke just coming out around her, So I'm like, oh shit, I gotta do something, So I'm like, okay, so I say, get me some rope, And then the lady's like, what do you need a rope for? I'm like, go get me some rope. Fuck, what do you need? Yeah, I'm in charge here. So everybody scatters like cockroaches when the lights come on, you know, they're running around, you know. And so I'll take out a cigar. I'll lean over to the building for a light. I'm just waiting for a rope to come back. So finally, a couple minutes, this lady's hacking up her lungs in the roof, you know. She's, I need help, you know. It's like third floor. I can't even reach the tree nearby. She's just in the middle of nowhere, you know. So some guy comes up to me. I don't know who he was, this little Mexican dude. He's like, I got that up. I'm like, okay, dude, okay. Scared the shit out of me, really, because he was like a little guy, and he just like a whole rope up at me. So I'm like, all right, cool. So what I do, right? Spit in my palms. You know, rub them together like you do. So then I grab the rope and I make like a lasso, like a hoop, you know, right? So I yell up to the old lady. I'm like, old lady! Old lady! And she's like, what? Something, I don't know, some shit. So I'm like, listen, you got but one chance, old lady. I'm going to throw this rope up there and you better catch it. So I start whipping it around, you know, I'm like whipping it, like I throw the rope up. It goes up. She catches it. And I first go, I swear to God, it was crazy. Just like she had like a grip of death on a rope, right? So I'm like, she's like, what do I do with the rope? What do I do with the rope? I'm like, tie it around your waist, old lady. So she puts a loop around her waist, you know. She said, what do I do? I said, tighten up the loop. So she tightens up the loop around her waist, you know. So I spit in my palms one more time and I start rubbing. I grab the rope and I go 3, 2, 1, and I pulled that old lady. You know, and that's how I saved the old lady from burning to death in a fire. You know, and if she had survived the fall, then it had all been worth it. So, yeah, guys, I just want to say thanks for letting me tell you a little story about what happened to me the time I moved down to Atlanta. Thanks, man.
That was Blaine Kneece with a live, improvised performance. Thank you for your story, Blaine. Blaine Kneece.
Yeah.
You didn't have to put on the red light. I told you that earlier, over and over again throughout like 18 choruses.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Blaine.
Thanks.
Awesome. Ready to jam with us? What should we do now?
Yeah.
Should we talk or should we jam?
Whatever you want to do, guy.
What do you guys want to do?
Let's get ready.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah?
Kick it live.
Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. I want to thank Joshua Cummings. Thank you so much, Josh. That was an amazing segment. Check out KlineNYC.com.
Yes.
I want to thank Blaine Kneece for his miraculous improvisational
Thank you.
story. That was really funny. And don't trust my word. Watch what you just watched again. If she had survived the fall, I was built up, and he's like, okay, one. Dude, that's good. She's all right. That was good. No, she's was gonna be okay. She was gonna be okay.
She was gonna be okay. As we told the ambulance, look, she was gonna be okay.
She was gonna be fine. I tell you.
She's gonna be fine.
Cool. So episode 24. Thanks everybody. Really great episode. Join us in 2 weeks for episode 25, which will be a live celebratory happening. It'll be a happening actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So join us for that. And
Excited for that happening.
anybody out there watching us wants to join us, send us an email at sulphurbath@gmail.com. So thanks again. Let's jam. Cool. Right on. Also want to thank Blaine Kneece, Greg Becker, Dean Brown, Joshua Cummings again. Thank you. Miho Morita for doing camera, and Nick
Yes.
Chen. And everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. What's everybody grabbing?
I'll start a sample going, and you guys can riff off of that.
Okay.
We got a Nick.
24.
Yeah, sure. It's already on. It's ready to go.
Hey, what's that? that I actually wrote. So no freestyle. All right. What happens when your plane lands? Maiden voyage through a desert storm. Pathetic how you preach. Prophetic in what you say. Alas, with no ears deafer than your own. Who will take your message home? What happens when your plane does touch down? Not before God's lucid tears strike windows. Remember how you believed through the pain? When your plane does land, can you do it again? I mean, how much baggage will you claim besides your clothes? Cause whether you're coming or going, no one knows. So what's the point of lugging those woes? Man, you took off prepared to die. Your first bout with turbulence opened your eyes. Thought you closed enough to God to ask why. What's the point of living when you have to torment yourself to survive? Curse your life, your turbines spin in the wind. It's all about what you take in. I'm not trying to pretend, see I've been time just to understand how I can configure a new resolution to an old solution, to an old problem that's never been solved. See, I'm talking in contradiction, because every time I write the diction, it's just a prediction of the poison I've consumed. See, I've never learned to bloom. I've been in the dirt for so long that the soil is consumed. The very legs in my soul. I'm just a soul. I'm just a soul. I'm just a flower. I'm just old. I'm just new. I'm just young. I'm just trying to begin, but I've already begun to die. So what happens when your plane does land? The closer you are to God when you took off. What happens when your plane does touch down? The closer you were to the word you never heard. Now when you come closer to God, when you come closer to the sky and you look up, will you see love? Don't get lost in the clouds, because cloud 9 is just something that's been redefined by man to take root and land. But we were given hands to build. So why do we destroy the knowledge we deploy just to redistribute the wealth? I used to move in stealth, but now I'm guided by the light, guided by the sound. I'm guided by what my homeboys is picking up to put down. I'm guided by the Yingling and the Jim beat. I'm guided by the bush we've seen. I'm guided by my Sulphurbath team. I'm guided to the 24th episode on the 25th road to 100. Let it begin. I'm guided to be here. I'm guided to be there. I fit into a circle even though I was born a square. Because I was guided to learn. Play the voodoo. Oh yeah.